Good evening and welcome to a late Sunday edition on the weekly Armchair Sports Talk. It is Devils Advocate with a twist. It's Devils Advocate with a pro footballer who also happens to support Liverpool. I know, be careful, be careful. I'm only kidding. Of course, tonight is myself, Reece, hosting. I'm joined by Jack Doherty, Wexford player as well, over in Ireland. If you're in Ireland, if you watch Irish football, you'll be well aware. Me, not so much, very inexperienced, but it's always good to get somebody to talk to, especially when it's about football. So, Jack, welcome to the channel. Welcome to the stream. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be on, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, he's looking forward to roasting us United fans because obviously Jack's a Liverpool fan, so you can tell he's on the high at the minute, whilst we're on the stable ship. That's probably the best thing. Before I come into anything else, I'm just going to jump into the comments, see who's in. So of course, Keen. Got Mark, we got Eddie Hearn, I meant Matt. Live from Norway is Hella, good evening to you. And of course, Matt saying, kick that like button like Maguire kicked Pogba in the head. Very true, very true. And agreed, it is great to have Jack on. Just before obviously we get into the main subject at hand, which is obviously Liverpool versus Manchester United, I just wanted to ask Jack about your professional football career and and it's actually going to relate to a question I want to bring up. So, for yourself, in the Irish league, is there any similarities to over here, English football, or is it more physical? Any difference that you could provide?
Yeah, it's a bit like it, to be fair. It's a lot physical. It's a lot physical, to be honest. A lot of kicking, and if you're especially if you're forward and you're nippy and that, you get kicked up and down the pitch. But look, it's good and it stands to you as well, But it is a lot of similarities to probably the lower leagues in England, maybe League One, League Two, really, and probably the weaker sides in the Championship. Maybe they be, that are not technically gifted than say the likes of the Fulhams or Bournemouth that like to play a bit of football, But look, there is good sides in the league, you've Rovers and all them now are big teams now, and they played, Dundalk and then played in the group stage Europa Leagues and that. So it's getting a lot more exposure in the last couple of years, which is great,
That's good. And what's the general atmosphere like at a game? Even for an away game, what's the general atmosphere like?
Yeah, it can be hostile enough, and there's a few especially down in Cork and that they get a nice following, so it can be fairly intimidating, to be honest. If as a player, you're used to it now, but if you're just going there for your first game and stuff like that, you can be a young lad coming through or something, it can be fairly hostile, and it can intimidate some lads, and some people are not able for it, but other lads really like playing in that hostile. It's good. I like playing in it because it gives you that little bit of something to get over them, if you score or if you set up a goal or whatever, so it's great, but it's starting to, really the last couple of years it's after kicking off big time over here. It's getting a lot more media and a lot more outlets are doing podcasts and stuff like that, previews on games and say results on games and talking about all the teams, so it's great,
Yeah, I apart from yourself, I've spoken to, I only know one other fan that watches games week after week, and that's my friend Josh. He goes to Glenavon games, so I'm not sure if that's in the Republic of the North, so because obviously there's two Irelands. I don't want to get into that argument because that'll cause a fight. We're not here for a fight, but he goes to Glenavon games and the atmosphere is great. So he's shown us a few clips of games and it's just the fans are so into it. And it's great to see there's some investment. Obviously yourself, me being in Scotland, our leagues are always branded shit every week. So it's good to see our teams getting semi-finals and Europe and all that stuff, to wind up fans who are saying, oh, your league is shit. Well, if our league is shit, then why is one of our teams in a European semi-final? Exactly.
Yeah.
So
it's good, and it's great to see that people support their local leagues as well, because although everyone Sports United and all that, you have them diehards out there that they just follow the normal leagues, and it's great like that, even if you do support United or whoever it is, Liverpool, you still should try to get the games, or get in games in Ireland to be mostly on a Friday, so what would you be on a Friday night, so go out and support your locals, they can be good games, like, and I wouldn't be judging it until you go and watch it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And if there's anyone that has any questions for Jack in the live chat, please bring them in. I'm sure Jack will be more than happy to answer your questions. I have one question actually for you. I think that I think many will want to ask, and it's just for anybody else obviously getting into the game. From a young age, or even have you got any advice for young people that even if they are football fans and they want to get into the game? Have you got any advice you'd like to pass on?
Yeah, look, just stick at it, and you'll always want to get lads who criticize people, who tell you you're not good enough, you're too small, or this or that. You get it all your life, you do. But the main thing is keep listening to your coaches.
Mm-hmm.
Stick at it. It's hard, but if you stick at it and you keep your head down, you keep working, it will pay off for you. And you see it even with a lot of younger lads, that they lose their confidence in that. But look, just keep positive. If you think you're good enough, just keep at it. You're never going to find out until you try. So look, there always going to be people out there that will have something to say about you, but you just have to have that confidence in yourself, and just enjoy it as well. That's the main thing. There's no one should be putting any pressure on the kids to be the next Ronaldo or whatever it is. It's just go out, be yourself, and enjoy it.
I agree with that. I think that's very fair. And speaking of, I mentioned my friend Josh. This is actually him right here, funnily enough. So his comment on the back of what we've been speaking about, and fantastic advice by Jack there. Josh says the Irish League on both sides of the board are only getting better. There's more investment and interest from abroad on it in a few years, which of course you've just mentioned yourself, Jack. Both league will be the best it has ever been. I think that's great. Thanks for that as well. He's also said, it's been his first comment, when you look at United shape of the weekend versus Norwich, if they start slow and give Liverpool the space, another 5-0. Yeah, don't worry. I will be asking Jack his score prediction and his potential lineup for Liverpool at the very end. But we may as well just get straight into it. Of course, it is the biggest game. It is the biggest game in football. It is the two biggest clubs in English football. Obviously, you're being a Liverpool fan, me being a United fan. 1-on-1, it feels like a good boxing match. I'm probably going to lose at the very end, but unless United pull off some sort of magic voodoo on Tuesday night, we don't know. But just for yourself, looking in, from a Liverpool fan, looking at United, what is your general thoughts on United right now? Because obviously this is not obviously yourself being a pro footballer. Some of these players just look like they just don't care. They have no interest in the game itself. They're not playing for the team. Whereas teams of old for United, even if didn't matter who they were, if they were losing a game to say a Chelsea, or they were losing, unfortunately, to Manchester City or Liverpool, regardless of the circumstance, they would always play for the badge. They would always know what it meant to play for United. Whereas this team doesn't seem to be interested in that circumstance. And just looking in, what's your overall thoughts on that?
I think it's hard. It's so easy for people to look from the outside in and say that you look at Liverpool and City and them, that they're winning every week, they're flying, the momentum is going with them. It's so easy to go out in a picture and they're like that, but when you such a big club and you start getting bad results, and there's so many people to scrutinise you, and to put blame and pick out these people. But look, they obviously do care. They wouldn't be playing if they didn't care, But it's just hard. They're not in that rhythm, and when they took in that interim manager, they should have really brought in a manager that was going to be there. I know they wanted Ten Hag, but they couldn't get him till the end of this year. But you need that stability there as well, and have a manager in there that, instead of chopping and changing, one manager is playing this way. Now you have the interim manager in, he's playing obviously different. He's picking different players. It's hard for people as well. And then you've Ronaldo come in. He's obviously going to be the main man. It's not about. It's just short-term success they're looking for, not building that for the long term, really. So I think Ten Hag will be a good appointment for United. To be honest, he will look at probably the longer. You might have to suffer for another year or two, but if you suffer and then you end up playing well and you start winning things again, that'll all be blown under the carpet. You forget about that. It's hard, but you had so much success over the last however many years. You're never going to keep going like that. That's football. It's other teams come good and other teams are going to be there, and it's so evenly matched now. You know, you have Chelsea are always going to be there. You have City with the money now. Newcastle have a heap of money. What will they be like?
Yeah,
Will players go there? You know, it's going to be. The English Premier League is the hardest league in the world, like for a reason. You know, you play against the lower end teams, and they're hard to get results against. You know, or in other leagues, they seem to just blow them lower end the teams 4-5-0. You know, it's not where England
yeah,
is a battle like every week. You know, so look, it is frustrating as a United fan, but me looking as a football fan in general, not take away that I'm Liverpool, like you, they are going to be good times again coming. When it happens, I don't know, but you need a manager in there, and you have to trust the manager what he's doing. Give him a few years, make
yeah.
it like have a way of playing. You've no identity of what way you play. Like you can look at Liverpool City, they have their way of playing, and they stick to it whether they win or lose. You know, that's the
Yeah.
difference, I think.
That's something that United need to do going forward. And I think it's great that they're going for a manager who has that similar point of view.
Yeah.
I like Rangnick, even I'll admit it's not worked in the way he's wanted to. But I think it's purely from the interim role, and it's been reflecting in that way where he's had some good results, but it's not been consistent enough. Just some comments before we move on, because I wanted to get your opinion on one player in particular. Josh saying you somehow got outplayed by Norwich. Yeah, very true. Comment here from one of our on our Twitch channel. You know some sites to watch football. Well, I can see from the comment here you're Portuguese lad. That's what you've said. All I can tell you is if you want to watch football, I would look to your TV. I've not got any links to share with you because you're getting a heap of shit if you do that on here. So no, I'm not supplying any links. Sorry, you'll have to find some other alternative method. Josh saying, I think Rangnick's time at management has showed too, along with the squad not respecting him and the coaches there. In the summer, a massive rebuild on the pitch and mentally is needed. Yeah, they also need a mentality shift as well. Like that's something that really needs to be done. It's amazing.
Because you can get used to winning, but you can also get used to losing games as well. You know that creeps in. It's hard to get out of that. You can't just flick a switch and say, "Oh, we're going to win today." Like you know, it's a hard thing to get out of it. Like you can say teams have rhythm and all that. They're winning every week, but if you're not getting results every week, you're 1-0 up. You're hanging on. You're thinking, "Oh, the last 10 minutes here, they're going to nick something." You know that mentality switch does have to change as well, and that comes from having them leaders around you, like the likes of like Liverpool have Van Dijk and that. You know, see when he's not in the side, it shows. You know, you need them big figures in there to help the younger players as well. You know.
I agree, especially because obviously,
and like I know you can say Ronaldo, but he plays up front. Like you know, it's different. Like to have a fella rock solid at the back, or like that centre midfielder that dictates everything.
I agree.
It's hard for a forward to do that. You know.
And does that reflect, like, because obviously when you play as a forward, like professionally, you play forward. Does that reflect from yourself? Like, do you prefer more leaders behind you, or would you mind having a leader beside you as well? Like,
no, like as like you have to take the pressure on yourself to try win a game, but like you also need the other boys to keep a clean sheet at the other end. You like it's hard for a forward to, but like your responsibility is to score goals, create chances, and if that's you're doing your job, you need someone back there to do their job. But I just think if you're up the top end of the pitch, you can't be shouting at a defender they can see the whole pitch. You know, you can't be shouting at them to go left, go right, or you know, you need that mainstay in the back. You know, that commanding figure, like, and it makes a big difference. You know.
I wanted to ask you on the back of alluded to a few times already. Obviously, you play as a forward. I wanted to ask your opinion on one particular Man United player who is at times brilliant to watch, but it can be very frustrating in terms of like dribbles too much, makes a mistake, gets dispossessed, and then it's always on the back of him, and it's aggressive in terms of the point of view of if he's good enough, if he's not, and it's just a manner of how you view it. What's your overall thoughts on Marcus Rashford as a footballer, and where do you think for himself? Because obviously he's not had just like many players, he's had a very poor season. It's not reflected. Obviously, he's had numerous injuries. It's obviously the one thing he does seem to do continuously in games he's questioned on is his football intelligence in terms of like moving around with the ball, and he gets dispossessed very easily. He just dribbles into defenders and he gets caught. On the back of his play, obviously in a similar position to yourself, what's your thoughts on him, and do you think he could get back to his best? Do you think he maybe is lacking a top coach.
Yeah, it looks like he's lacking a lot of confidence, you know. You need that. He seems like the fella, although he gives it a lot to off the pitch and that, but he needs that manager to put the arm around the shoulder and give him that confidence and tell him how good he is, you know. But it's just when confidence is a hard thing. Like if you're playing well every week, you don't think about anything other than look, go out and express myself, and just things doesn't happen naturally. But when you're struggling to find something, you're trying too hard, or you know things just don't happen for you. But I, he have all the attributes to be a great player, but I just don't think he's technically, you know, like a Mahrez or who's technically
Yeah.
just gifted, you know, who can just glide past people, come in on his left, play a little 1-2s. I think Rashford just needs that open grass in front of him, just to use his legs, his pace. Like when teams play a high line, say like Liverpool or something, you know, where he can exploit him behind because he's fast and that. He does need a manager in there to like if he was under Klopp or Pep, how good could he be? You don't, you know, look what he Klopp does with all them the players,
Yeah.
Robertson, all these lads, you know, Mane, Salah. Like, could he suit a team like Liverpool? He probably would, I'd say, because he seems to have the pace and they like fast forwards. But he just needs probably that manager, like the new manager that comes in. Maybe he might kick something off for him in pre-season and he could be back to himself, you know, because he does have that talent. Like, that just don't leave you overnight. It's just confidence and willing to express yourself again. And even when things go bad for you, just keep trying, like, you know, because it is a game of football at the end of the day. You're not going to be brilliant every game, you know. You just, and you need the players around you as well to be playing well, you know. So it's hard, like.
Because obviously, I'll pretty much every United fan will agree his best position is probably coming off the left. When he plays on the right hand side, I think the only word you could probably say is it's embarrassing because he has no impact on a game. But when he goes to the left, he's very comfortable. He likes to cut, and he does have that. He does have that pace. He does have that pace to him. He can hit a shot. God forbid, the power in his legs is very impressive. Do you think he is very limited to just one position? And if you do try and use him elsewhere, it'll just completely inhibit his game? Or do you think he actually could play multiple positions? He just doesn't have the confidence in himself. Do you think that could be a reason why he just cannot seem to adapt to the right hand side?
Yeah, it's hard, like, because he don't seem like he's an out and out winger. You know, if you're say like the Giggs or someone who does before go past you and put a lovely ball into the box, he don't seem to have that in him, or does he? You know, he seems to like coming in off the line and link up with the striker or whatever. So that can be probably a factor as well if he can't play on both sides. Like Ranić obviously wants a player who can play across the number of positions up for in the forwards, you know. So it can be a thing that managers want as well. They like players that can play in many positions, you know. So maybe that might affect them. Sure, like because Sancho seems to play out that side as well, you know. So it's going to be it all depends on the manager's decision what he wants out of them forwards. You know what, like if he wants a player who scores goals, creates chances, gets assists, numbers wise, you know, maybe he mightn't play. You know, I don't know. It's and it probably depends on the opposition as well. Like if you're looking at say Tuesday, like I probably would play Rashford because he'll cause trouble going the other way. He'll stretch Liverpool because look at Sterling, and then they seem to cause Liverpool trouble going in behind. So you know, it all depends on who they're playing as well. I'd say. But he would be a great player to keep around if you can get him back to the way he plays 2 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, he is a handful. Like when he's on it, like.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of comments coming in, so I'm just going to fire a fair few of them. So let's see. Comment from Maisie. It just seems the players are not aware of their positions at times. They go out of position far too much, especially yesterday, creating space for Norwich. Yep, 100%. Andrew, regular viewer of the channel. Liverpool can afford to rest players. Very true. Liverpool got an absolute steal for Diaz. He's been absolutely brilliant. Yeah, I actually want to ask you about him very shortly. Andrew says playing Jesse in front of the kids was borderline incompetence. I disagree. I thought yesterday our best player, bar Ronaldo, was actually Jesse Lingard. I think same way like Maisie and Keanes have even agreed on that. I think he was by far our best player in the midfield. Like he understands his position. His pressing was really important, which is something we just don't have. And of course, that's something that Josh has reflected on. Lingard is just a scapegoat. He's not actually a bad player. He's a lot of energy and works his socks off. Not United level, but he's a player who worked for a West Ham.
Mm.
Yep, that's very fair. I think that's very fair, and I do agree.
And he can be a top player with the likes of a West Ham and that. You've seen that before, you know.
Yeah, David Moyes knows how to use him really well. Like last year,
Yeah.
I thought he was fantastic in that 6 months. Like real perspective from him, like looking in. It's just good to see that he managed to get back to a level where he wasn't playing great due to like personal reasons, and he goes and has a fantastic 6 months. It's unfortunate it hasn't worked in this season where he could have had more game time, but he hasn't had it. But on the back of that, obviously, Maisie's mentioned Luis Diaz, and a bit obviously yourself being a Liverpool fan, you'll be absolutely buzzing with him. Like he's come in like a duck to water to the Premier League, and every single game he plays for Liverpool, he's either been effective from scoring a goal, or he's contributed to a goal. Like, and it gives Mane a lot of competition. What's your not just Diaz, but what's your overall view on this Liverpool team now? And do you think Diaz is the making of he could end up replacing Mane altogether? Or do you think there could be something different in that squad? Like, what's your?
Yeah, I think he could be. I think he could be Liverpool's one of their best signings that they had in a long, long time. He has something different to what Mane and Salah don't have. Like, you know, he does that explosiveness, and he reminds me of Suarez in a way, not as a player, but off the ball when he loses the ball. He's like just bang at you again, and he just never seems to run out of energy and all that. But when he gets it, his flair is unreal. I never see someone do that to Cancelo like what Diaz done to him yesterday. He gave him an awful time, and Cancelo is one of the best right fools in the league. You know, I never see him struggle so much against a player. Like, you know, he has everything. He can go inside, go basket down the line. He just the scouts at Liverpool they've done wonders there with him, because 35 million is an absolute steal for someone like that. You know, he look at him now. He could easily get 100 million for him now, easy. If some of these players are going for 50 million, like Rafinha and all them, they're looking for that kind of money. Like, look at Diaz, what he's done already, and in big games he's doing it. You know, it's not like
That's
he's
true.
doing it in small, and like a lad to come in January and be able to take the way Liverpool plays like that is not easy. And one thing is, you never see Klopp put in a player straight away. You see what he done with Robertson, Fabinho. He weans him in. You know, it takes a couple of months where he played Diaz straight off the bat when he brought him in. You know, so it shows how good he is as a player. Like, you know, and it's exciting. Like, I love watching him because he's no fear. Like, and you can't beat that
and
in a
his
forward.
role as well. Like he's adapted his role so quickly. I mean, when he was playing at Porto, he was playing in a 4-man midfield as a wide midfielder.
Yeah.
Now you play him in a front three as an inverted winger, and he's honestly turned that Liverpool team into something dangerous. Like, obviously, there is unfortunately a chance that Liverpool can win the quadruple. If that happens, I'm going to find a cave to live in. But he is certainly contributing to that, because he's had the key goals where if Salah, who's been quote unquote, I don't know if you agree or disagree, but Salah's been god awful since before AFCON. Like, he's went downhill like dramatically, which is a shocker. Mane's been here and there, but at least he's still contributing. Obviously, he got the crucial goals in the AFCON, which just seems to have picked up his confidence. Firmino's still ever so reliable. Like, and then Diogo Jota has been, he's in the round, like he has his moments. I'm not an overly big fan of him, but in terms of just watching him, he does have moments where he can be really effective. Do you think it's actually because of the competition now, like this will strive Liverpool onto greater things, or do you think you may just be lacking something there in your squad? Because obviously you've got a lot of aging players that will eventually need to be replaced.
I think the midfield will eventually have to be reconstructed. I'd say, you know, the likes of Henderson and them are pushing on and stuff like that, and like Thiago is a joy to watch as well, since he's just an absolute footballer. You know, he's a joke. Like, but I'd say they'll have to reconstruct the midfield. I'd say, you can see, like, I think it's great that they have so many options up front, and all the players are different. Like, you know, Firmino comes in, he don't have the pace that the other have, but his football and brain is unbelievable. Like, he makes the other player. space for the other players. He drops in so that they can come in. The centre halves will follow him in, so it leaves space for Salah and Mane, and then But I think Mane has been brilliant through the middle the last few weeks. He was the best player on the pitch, I thought, yesterday. Him or Diaz, really, for a man of the match was like the two of them were very good, I thought. And look, Salah seems to be just lacking that bit of confidence since losing them big games over in Africa is after, I'd say, it's after affecting him. And look, he's human too, and this contract, whatever is going on there, it obviously affects him. He's like us all, so just because he plays for Liverpool and he's on however much a week doesn't mean he's Superman. He's a human at the end of the day, and he goes through good times, he goes through bad times, but I'm sure he'll come out the other side of it again. But I think it would be a bad move for him if he does leave Liverpool, because look at what happened with Coutinho. Liverpool would he could have a statue at Anfield if he was still there. He was so good, And look at Salah would definitely go down as one of the best ever signings Liverpool ever made. He could go down as one of their best players ever. But if he leaves, he'll ruin all that. And do you want to really ruin all that at his age now? What else can he do? Go to a Paris Saint-Germain or someone who can afford him and go out to them leagues? Why would you do that? Go out to a league that's not. I don't know. Only he really knows what he wants, because he's going to be set for life either way anyway. If he signs for Liverpool and stay, he's always going to. That money, 200 grand a week is crazy money anyway. Or whatever he offers, whatever he gets offered, maybe 300. I don't know, but I don't think Liverpool will break the wage structure. Why should they? It's obviously worked for this long. If you do what United and Arsenal done with players, it can go the other way fairly quick. So I can't see them doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. There are some comments and a question for you as well, which I'm about to bring up. So I'm just going to do that. Let's see. Andrew's saying, if you won't blood a young player, so he's in reference to Rangnick, if he won't blood a young player at home to the worst team in the league when the season is over, when will he? It really does depend. I'll be honest with you. It really does depend when he'll take the chance. Josh saying, Dallo and Tellers at fullback, you might as well play your granny and granda there. Jesus Christ. Hellas saying, if we got that DM position filled, our centre backs would look a lot different. Yeah, as long as it's not Maguire, because he's absolutely awful. Keane saying, low key, I think Jota is Liverpool's best forward. Very interesting comment. Connor, Andrew's referring to Rangnick as this. I disagree. He says he's not improved us one iota, actually taking us backwards. I don't think he's taking us backwards. He's just unfortunate the squad he's playing with does not benefit his style at all. It doesn't benefit, and it's just not worked. No rhyme and reason for his team selection. Too afraid to rock the boat. God awful. Fair enough. I get that, but in all honesty, I do disagree with some aspects. I do. But this is the question for you, Jack. What's your thoughts on the overall contract situation with Mohamed Salah?
Yeah, I just think it obviously is affecting his performances, because he was flying, really top goal scorer in the league. He is probably Liverpool's best player over the last few years. He's been absolutely phenomenal. He was talking there a few months ago as him or Benzema Ballon d'Or. He's been that good, but it obviously is affecting him. So I think, and to be fair to Klopp, he shows he still trusts him. He's playing in that front three. He's the only one really that plays. Everyone else seems to get moved around. He still keeps him in there because he can get a goal out of nothing, But I think they do need to get that sorted sooner rather than later, because I know he comes out and says it's not affecting him, but it obviously is, because he hasn't been half the player he's been the last few years. But it's hard to keep them standards like that all the time, It just shows how good Ronaldo and Messi really are, to have them standards like that up there for the last 15, 16 years, whatever. It's been crazy, so it shows, well, I think they do need to kind of get it sorted, whether they're paying him that money or not, but I can't see him paying that money, to be honest. So, either Salah has to sacrifice something, he's going to win stuff at Liverpool. If you sacrifice that few, 100,000 or whatever, it's still crazy money. You see all these players, someone that said there, the Hazard situation. Hazard was the best player in England before he left. Probably one of the best players in the world. He was a joy to watch, and then he goes to Spain and heaps of injuries, and you just don't know. So these players, if for me anyway, if I was in his situation as a player, I'm playing the best football in my career. I'm under one of the best managers. How will I play
Mhm.
if I'm under another manager who mightn't trust me as much as Klopp? You know, you have to think of all them things as well. Your family are going to be set for life anyway, you know. So I don't know. It's hard with them lads who maybe came from really the slumps. You know, they're looking at money. They maybe don't want to ever go back there and their kids to
Yeah,
have their kids set up. You know, you just don't know what all these things people have to think about as well. You know.
absolutely. And on the back of that, if Salah was to be moved on, just in this,
Mm,
an agreement couldn't happen because it could still technically happen where Salah doesn't agree a contract extension, he eventually moves on. Where would you realistically think Salah goes? Because in terms of who he is, he's a phenomenal player. Like even though he's been in an
yeah,
absolute slump, he is a phenomenal player. His goal return the past 5 years since he's joined Liverpool, but actually even the year before, like his final season at Roma as well when it all started, he's been on a
yeah.
fantastic run in terms of output consistency. Where would you realistically see him like going if he did move on?
I could only see him going. Like, who could afford that wage? You know. So
Mm-hmm.
City won't take him. I don't think because he's totally different to their forwards and what the way Pep plays. You know. So I
Yeah,
can only really see him going to a Real Madrid or do Barca have the money? I don't know. I don't think so. I think
they're
Real Madrid
cheating.
are,
They're cheating money right now. So who knows?
yeah. PSG, I think, are the only team who could afford that crazy wage, you know?
Mm.
So, like, and how could you fit Messi, Neymar, Mbappe if he stays or whatever? I don't know. It's hard to know that's what I'm thinking. Where could he go? Like, I think only whoever can afford him, and I think probably PSG or Real Madrid could be the only teams, really, like, you know?
Yeah, I would honestly agree with that. I mean, if he did leave the Premier League, for me, nightmares gone. Well, some of
Yeah.
them at least would be gone. But like, he is a brilliant player. Whether you support United or Liverpool or anywhere else, you just cannot appreciate a good football. Like he's just been
Right.
he's just been up there consistently. Like you have to appreciate. I mean, obviously he plays for Liverpool, so there's a better taste. But it's just honestly, obviously, I watched Serie A regular, so I did watch him. I did watch him play
Yeah.
for like Roma and Fiorentina, and he was fantastic. Um, Evan jumping in, he's a Chelsea fan. Chelsea could, but he wouldn't come back. Well, Mourinho's not your manager, so
Yeah.
he probably would. He probably would. And hell on the back, you're saying PSG is really crowded. Yeah, crowded by players that shouldn't even be there in the first place, like Di Maria, but that's just an outlook. But on the back of this Liverpool team, for anybody that is watching, obviously they may not have watched Liverpool this year, although I think you'd be lying to yourself if you haven't. But for anybody that is watching, like in terms of like this team, who would you say is like apart from the likes of like the usual front three suspects and all that, who would you say are the key players for like Liverpool that like wants to watch like Tuesday as you probably put us to the sword, which will painfully hurt.
Like Liverpool's like key player really is that one of the key players by country mile is Van Dijk. You can see that from what happened to him last year. Look at the season last year, and you look at this year, like it's chalk and cheese. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's crazy how much of one player has that impact on a squad. And I said that to you earlier about like United, they don't have that command and figure in there. Although
Yeah,
Henderson is their captain, Van Dijk is their main leader. Like you can hear him on the telly all the time, barking at players and telling players where to be. There's no like, look at how good he makes Robertson and all them. You know, there's a difference
true.
on the right side, like where Trent kind of gets a little bit exposed defensively because he don't have someone like probably Van Dijk, although he's on same back fours and but he's not on his side. Where Robertson just
Mm-hmm.
he knows where to be because Van Dijk will be in his ear all the time. But I think our key really is our two fullbacks as well. Their output has been phenomenal all year as well. Like Trent is just a joke. His passing, like for a foot, if you watch him playing, like you just love watching him pass the ball all day. Like he's
Yeah.
he just has that zing on him, and it sets the tempo like straight away. If you're in a side and you have a fellow who fizzes it into you, like and
Mm-hmm.
it's just standards, like that's it's the small little things, but they make a big difference. Like you can't give him any space or time on the ball. He'll just pick you apart. So look at I think our fullbacks are key really as well, attacking wise, because it makes your forwards have to track back as well, so it don't give you that kind of
Yeah,
outlet then straight away. And like Fabinho in the middle he covers some
he's
ground, he's
he's a
phenomenal.
brilliant player.
He don't get enough credit, I don't think, for what he does. Like when Trent and Robertson goes, like he's nearly the one to cover in as well as. So you'd have like a back three, the two centre halves, and Fabinho
Mhm.
gets over, or whoever, Henderson or them. So Klopp has it down to a T the way he plays, and that just didn't happen overnight. It takes, like as I said, a year or two or whatever. Like you need time to get your stamp the way you want to play. So look, it's not often you come across great managers like that either, and we're just lucky to have him with Liverpool. So
Yeah.
look, we just have to enjoy it while it lasts. It's not going to last forever either. Like so, you can't come. I'm not going to come on here and be cocky and say, "Oh, we're going to be like this for 20 years." If football was like that, United would be still winning now. So look, we just have to enjoy it while we can. To be brutally honest, things could change. Like if Klopp leaves, look what happened with G. So
Yeah.
look, you enjoy it while it lasts, and hopefully it'll last for a long time. But look, I don't know. We're just in that rhythm at the moment, and anything can happen.
Absolutely. And Mark's got a question for you in reference to Bruno Fernandes. He's asking, would Bruno get into your team? Based on how you play right now.
I don't think he would. To be honest, he's a brilliant footballer. He's talent wise, he's brilliant. But like Klopp's system and that, I don't think he get into Liverpool side. To be honest with you, he doesn't. He leaves too many spaces and he gives away the ball too much. He tries the hard things all the time, where Liverpool's forwards and that, and then they have them dog in midfield, and he's not like a footballing brain like Thiago. Thiago never gives away the ball. That's why he plays with Liverpool, and he
Yeah.
offers something different. That tempo where, say, if we're winning a game, it's not all 100 mile an hour. He just slows it down, So I don't think he would, to be honest. But although he is, I really like Bruno, and I always have. I've said it
Yeah.
umpteen times. He's a quality footballer, but he just didn't. United are obviously not suiting him at the minute. He's
Yeah.
he is a world class player. Like, to be honest, but I just don't think if I'm Klopp picking that, I don't think he'd get in. No.
Yeah, I get that. I think in terms of how you want to play, like it's system players, and obviously it fits his
Yeah.
system. Fernandes doesn't necessarily fit for that team, but in other teams, like he does. It just depends on how you use them.
Like
Evans asking,
if you're picking a best 11, maybe he might get in there as a best 11 players. But
yeah,
as in system wise, he wouldn't
yeah,
suit Liverpool. To be honest.
yeah, I would agree in that one. And then obviously Evans saying Reece's combined 11 and Jack's combined 11. We will come to that very shortly because it's going to be fairly dominated. But there are some very interesting comments in here. So Mark's going, get Pogba to sign a new contract. Hope not. He's then saying Rodri over Fabinho.
I see a few people saying that, Rodri or
I
Fabinho.
like both.
I don't know. Rodri is quality as well. I don't know.
Yeah, I think they're
It's a hard
it's
decision, to
so
be honest.
different.
Yeah, they are. They're totally different players. But if you're
Yeah.
looking for someone who breaks up a lot and covers in, do the dirty work, really. I think Fabinho does the dirty work better than Rodri, to be honest. But
Yeah.
if you're looking for Rodri is a good footballer too, but I don't know. That's a hard one, to be honest.
Yeah. And he's also said Pogba or Rodri in terms of who you'd rather have in your squad. I would rather have Rodri than Pogba because at least, with all due respect, at least Rodri actually puts a shift in every week and he actually looks like he wants to play. He generally seems more interested. I don't think Pogba actually looks bothered at all. And but that could also be like United have just not worked to him as well, where we've just not built a team that he would actually want to play with. And that's obviously affecting. Obviously, that would affect performance. But even so, like a world-class player like himself, he should be able to raise a team's level. If a world-class player should always be able to raise the bar that you want to aspire to. And all due respect to Pogba, he hasn't done that. Like he has moments where he's absolutely fantastic. The goal against City, is one. Like the goal against Milan, like he's had these moments, but it's not enough over a 38 game season where we want you to do better. And in that case, it's just not enough. There's one. I don't think I can name any of them. Maybe one, maybe two. But Andrew's saying how many United players get in Liverpool's second 11? For me, I can only say two, and that's Fernandes and Jadon Sancho. I think maybe Ronaldo, depending on how Klopp would use him. But I think if you look at, I think maybe system-wise, system players only, it would probably just be Sancho. But just in terms of extra quality, Fernandes could go in there. But system-wise, Sancho.
He could go in there for something different if you're changing it up or something, you know. If you want to play him in that false 10, maybe Fernandes or something. You know, that's the only position I could see him play, really, if he does drop in as a forward, you know, because he gives you that little something. But that's if you want to change things up, I'd say he could. And like, I do think Sancho, he's a quality player, like, so he would get in probably. He'd be in Liverpool or City squad, I think he would. And then rotate, obviously, the way Liverpool are rotating the forwards at the minute, why not? Like, you know, he offers something different as well, you know. He's just not able to. It's hard when you're coming into a side who are not playing well either, you know. It's hard for a young lad like that to come in and, like, the price tag, he didn't ask to be bought for that much, like, you know. That's not his fault that they paid that money, you know. He will be good, though, if they get the right manager in and get the right players around him, and, you know, he will be a great player for United, I think.
Definitely. Keane says Varane will get into a fit Liverpool team. If a fit Varane would get into Liverpool's team, would you agree? I think Varane would be an interesting shout.
Yeah, he would be. He'd be in there. He would be. Yeah, but you have Canade and these lads there as well. You know, it's like, he would be definitely there though. Yeah, he's probably the only one I'd pick at the minute. Like, if you're picking right now, I wouldn't be able to pick a United player to go into that side right now. Like, to be honest, like, and that's just being brutally honest. Like, into the starting 11 right now, I wouldn't pick a player, to be honest, because they haven't been playing well, or they haven't done anything to say, turn your head, say, he'll get in the side. And like, I could easily say Ronaldo, because like his goals, he is doing it, he is scoring goals and that, but he doesn't play. He wouldn't fit the way Liverpool play at the minute, you know. So it's not to say that like he's world class in that, but if you're picking, like, Klopp wouldn't pick a United player, I don't think, right now to play tomorrow for Liverpool in that starting 11.
Yeah, he knows no one fits.
Yeah. Your midfield, you wouldn't have any of them in it. You wouldn't have any of your forwards or your defenders in it, like, and then Sir Alisson would be in goal as well, you know.
No, I agree with you there. But, based on comments, Andrew's, and before I come to Keane's question, Andrew's actually said as well, and this is also based on reputation as well. He said Matip over Varane. Matip in the Premier League. He seems to be overlooked a lot by football fans. I think he's very underrated. He is one player I actually think is a very good centre half, and it's reflected really well when he's played. Like, Van Dijk has played with like X amount of centre backs at Liverpool already.
Yeah.
Gomez at centre half, no. I think he's probably better at playing cover for Alexander-Arnold at fullback. I think he's better there. I don't think he's good enough for the middle. Kanate has stood out since he's come in, but Matip seemed to click really well. Yeah.
No, Matip has that bit of quality when he comes out with the ball as well. You know, he's not afraid to drive past the midfield or play passes into the forwards. He's very good that way. You know, Kanate is still young. You know, he's only 20 years of age. He's going to be He's going to be a beast as well. You know, I see a stat today. So 22 games he's unbeaten with Liverpool that he played in. So they all seem to have these stats at Liverpool. You know? Yeah, he's strong as well. You know.
Yeah.
You see when
Foden went against him.
You see with Foden yesterday. So he tried to go past him and he just brushed him aside. And he's going to be a good player for Liverpool, I think. And then playing with Van Dijk, he's going to just learn a lot more, like, than playing with someone that's not as good as Van Dijk, you know.
Do you think he could be a future Liverpool captain? Like, not next season, because obviously you've still got Henderson, but do you think maybe down the line he could be?
He could be, yeah, mate. Like, is he? I don't know, like what his English and that be like. Obviously, you'd have to have someone very vocal as well, you know. But down the line, maybe like he's going to learn. He has some big leaders in there now that maybe pass on a bit to him, and then he'll be able to pass on if he stays at Liverpool to the younger lads coming through. So yeah, look
Yeah,
at the way what Henderson learned off Gerrard and that, you know.
yeah,
So yeah, he could like yeah.
and
But I think if Trent and that is still there, I think Trent like they'll have someone like that, you know.
yeah.
A lad from Liverpool and who's won
Hmm.
so much so young as well, you know. Can only do yeah. He's a real big figure in Liverpool so far anyway, you know.
Yeah, and of course Henderson is your greatest Premier League captain, but we'll see how you respond to that. We'll see you respond to that. But Keane's got a question, which I think is actually probably best to come from you as a response. Obviously, being a professional footballer yourself, Keane's asking, what do you think about young Elanga coming into a struggling team and standing out?
Yeah, I think he's been very good. And it shows how much character he has as a young lad as well, you know, coming into a struggling side with big names there. And he's the one putting in big performances for United, you know. I think he's a very good player. He's a very good player. I think he could be one that next year, like, who could get into the side and play every week. That's why probably Rashford and that will struggle maybe. Like, he seems to have that bit more flair than go past people without even trying, you know, and not relying on his pace all the time, you know. I think he's been brilliant since he's played. He seems to came. For me, like I wouldn't watch any of the underage with United or anything like that. So he came really out of the blue for me, to be honest. But he's been very good in the games I've watched him now. He's been
Mm.
quality.
I think yesterday's shown as well, where like for a young player, you would think typically like a young player would show a little bit of selfishness, like in the box when we scored the first goal, but instead he laid off to Ronaldo, showing that he could have went through Tim Krul in your post.
Yeah,
Krul maybe he might have saved it, but instead he took the wiser decision and played it in, which for me is showing great levels of maturity in a young player. Andrew's going, and I think we'll both agree on this one, although it makes me sick. If Liverpool win the quad, are they the best team in English Premier League history?
yeah, they would go down. If they do
I
that, they
would.
would definitely, 100%. It's that
Pains me
I
admit
think
it,
though.
yeah.
Being realistic though, it's so hard for a team to do that. Like so,
Because it's
it'd be
never been
easy
done.
for me to come on and say that Liverpool are going to do it, but like Chelsea could beat them in the FA Cup final. It's just a one-off game, you know. Like it's so hard, and then the league as well. So many twists and turns. I think still coming up. I think because I don't think both teams will. Although it looks like it'll be hard for a team to take points off them, but anything can happen in a football game. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be hard. But if they do that, if they do win the quadruple, they definitely go down. I think it's the best team in
Yeah.
England's history, 100%. That's like you you'd only dream of a team doing that. Like that's crazy. Like to say over 50 something games. Like really, you know, it's madness. Like or 60 games, whatever. Like
Because
crazy that is.
no team's done it. The closest, actually, funnily enough, was the closest team to do it was Chelsea, 06, 07. They had the Carabao Cup at the time. They were in the Champions League semi-finals. They had the FA Cup final, and they were only a few points off United at the time.
Yeah,
Collapsed to Liverpool, which has happened anyway because obviously it happened 2 years before. They did win the FA Cup final. They beat us, but then obviously we then took momentum to the league and we won it. So Liverpool, like Chelsea that year, only won like 1 out of 4. They were the closest English team to do it, which is crazy. And
crazy. Yeah,
it's not happened since in terms of like close to proximity in terms of already wrapped up. Whereas Liverpool right now, FA Cup final,
uh,
couple of points off, like 1.2 points off City in the league, already won the Carabao Cup, and then you've got probably a very favourable tie in the Champions League semi-finals, give or take. Although it's hard to really say
it was.
because Villarreal have been very impressive. It's hard
Yeah,
to tell, but the way things are going, it looks like you're going to be in the Champions League final for the third time in 4 years, third time 5 years, which is we done the
yeah. They've
exact
been
same a
in.
decade ago.
Yeah, they won. They beat Spurs. They were beaten by Real Madrid, and yeah, they've had a fairly good early run to be fair with Klopp, you know. But if they do that, like it just goes to show how good they've been though. Really, the Liverpool
Yeah.
compared to like City are phenomenal side, and to be there, them punch for punch every year since with the last 4 years, 3 years, whatever. It's two sides have been phenomenal. There's nothing between the two of them. It's just a flip of a coin, really, because you've seen it in the last two games they played each other. That they were, although Liverpool really should have they shouldn't have really gave them a chance to come back in yesterday. I thought they kind of fell asleep and a bit sloppy. But the league game showed how good both sides are. It's totally different styles as well. It was great to
Yeah.
watch. Like,
Yeah, I agree. In terms of points accumulation as well, both Manchester City and Liverpool, I think, have either passed the 400 point mark since the run began, like the crazy run, or they're not far off it, 400 points each, which
yeah,
is frightening. Like for any level of high level football, like for two particular teams to chase each other that much and be at that barrier, it is terrifying. Coming in the back, Keane's saying when he had to play right back, this is back to Langa when he played in the final minutes yesterday, he showed massive maturity. Yep, he was fantastic. Maisie's referencing, yep, that's a fact. Both cup finals this year has been Chelsea versus Liverpool.
yeah.
Of course, Liverpool did edge it in the Carabao Cup. Andrew saying FA Cup is a toss-up. Yep, Champions League overall is a toss-up. Premier League less than a toss-up. I agree. Rich, good evening to you. Has Varane disappointed this year? Painfully so. Yes, he has. But then again, it's not all down to him. But his injury problems has been a nuisance, and obviously it's affected him in games where he's getting back up to speed. Then he's got injured, and then he has to do it again. And then there's performances where he gets caught out so easily by players like, say, Maximan is one example that I always go back to in the Newcastle game where Maguire was just as bad, pointing all over the place, but Varane could have easily taken him out, but instead he just got ripped. He got ripped apart.
What we expected, like, when he signed him, what we actually expecting him to be like, because if you look back at his last couple of years, he's been injured a lot, and he hasn't played an awful amount of football. So, what really were United fans expect? What were you expecting him to do? Like, come into that side and really change it straight away, or?
For me, like over time, I was hoping to see him just like give the defense like an extra lift. Like a lot of people were saying it was the perfect partner for Maguire, because obviously Maguire's got as much pace as a snail. So like Varane, at least he's got the quick legs and he's got the presence to do it, where at least he can cover Maguire. But that partnership hasn't worked. I think the best partnership for Varane's been Lindelof, where I think the perfect partner for Maguire might be Eric Bailly, but Eric Bailly is consistently injured, or he's just absolutely insane in the box, dribbling like a Brazilian player. Like he just tries so much when he could keep it simple, avoid injury, and then he could be an asset to the team where it's not worked. And I knew Varane was coming into the Premier League as an experienced player, and he's won X, Y, Z. But you'd think over time, a player of like in his prime, he would give you some extra assurance at centre back, where it's a little bit extra confidence. But at the moment, it hasn't worked out. I'm hoping next year will be better, because at least he's adapted to the Premier League. He's had that full year. At the moment, it really hasn't worked at all, and it's painful to see. But in terms of that United team, for yourself looking in, obviously there's no Shaw. He's out left back. He's in a protective boot. McTominay and Fred, the consistent Mick-Fred partnership that everybody roasts, like they're out. It's a very weak squad. Cavani's not available, which is a recurring theme. You look at United now, and for yourself looking in as a Liverpool fan, which players stand out to you that you really hope doesn't have a good game on Tuesday night? From you looking in as a Liverpool fan, like which players do you not want to have a good game? Obviously, bar like Ronaldo's like a usual suspect.
Yeah, probably Bruno and that. Bruno, Sancho can cause a bit of trouble there as well. I hope. But like, I think it'll be a tough enough game for Liverpool. And you might laugh, but I remember the times when Liverpool weren't as good and United were the top team in England, and Liverpool seem to get results against United when they're so good. Just because Liverpool have played a lot more games than United have this year, and tough few games the last few weeks, and then playing again on Tuesday. I know they can bring in the likes. I'd probably say Jota or Firmino, and them will probably come in, and you can't play the same players every week up front because you're going to burn them out as well, and you have so many big games coming up. But like Liverpool still have to win as well. But I don't know. I don't think it's going to be as easy as everyone thinks it is. I think United will cause Liverpool a bit of trouble. But if Liverpool get an early goal and they kill United's confidence straight away, it could get a bit messy then. But the longer United hang in there, I know they've been vulnerable the last while, and they're conceding too many goals, and if you're conceding two against Norwich as well at home, it's if you're looking at that, you'd say, "Oh, Liverpool will take them to the cleaners," but football don't work like that either. United have nothing to fear. They're expected to be better, so you've nothing to fear to go to Anfield. I think they should be they should go look forward, try to look forward to creating an upset. That's what they should be doing as players. Silence a few critics and see what they can do. But it will be tough. Liverpool, I'd say it's impossible nearly as a player going to Anfield and then getting the run around and knowing you're not going to have the ball that much and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But look, they could nick something. You never know. That's football, But yeah, if Liverpool gets on top early and United find it hard, I think it could be a long night. But the longer they hang in there, you never know.
And obviously, we do have Arsenal next Saturday as well, so that's another big tie for us. We've got and Chelsea. We've got a massive run that just not. Well, actually, no, it's not. We've got a fair run anyway, but it involves two of those three anyway. But a lot of United fans I've seen, a few that I've spoken to, are suggesting that United should go back 5 against Liverpool, which I think would be. I think it'd be a very bold but risky decision to play a back 5 against Liverpool. I think you're losing a key man in midfield. Yeah. For me, I know it sounds risky, but I would match Liverpool 4-3-3. I would rather we match them because I think if we go back 5, we're losing a man in midfield, and it's even against Van Dijk and whether it be Matip for his calmness or Kanate for his bulk and physical presence. I don't think 2 up top's actually good to go against them because the likes of Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold, they could still necessarily cut in and cause more problems. It's a 4-on-2 advantage. I think United would be best going to a 3, in the midfield and the 3 up front. But if United did play a back 5, do you think United would have any chance? Or do you think purely that would be, Liverpool would be perfect?
Yeah, I just think you're asking for trouble straight away, playing a back 5 and sitting in and giving Liverpool all the ball straight away. Match them. If I was going in there, I'd match them. Like you said, go same formation as Liverpool. And if you're bet by the better team, that's fair enough. You hold your hands up and say, look, the better team won, but we gave it a good go, But going really with a back 5 defensive mentality straight away, afraid to lose the game, you're expected to lose anyway. But you should be going in and give it a good go. And if you're bet by the better team, then at least you say you gave it a good go rather than sitting in and playing all these play the way they did against City and play 2 midfielders in forward. It's madness. You're only asking to be bet straight away, Go and try match them and try give them a good run for their money. And if you're bet by the better team, you're bet by the better team. That's fair enough, You gave it a good crack, and as fans, then you can say, look, we really went for it tonight. The better team won, and that's fair enough,
Yeah, absolutely. And Rich is asking, if in case you watched the game, I'll get your opinion as well. But Rich is asking, who do you blame for Norwich's goals yesterday? For me, Dalot, Tellez, Maguire's poor positioning, and I also blame Pogba because a midfielder of Pogba's quality in the box should not be jogging when Norwich are in the box getting ready to pounce. He's jogging in that box. For me, that's a lack of commitment. That's a lack of attitude. That's a lack of interest. Dalot just get ripped to pieces. Timo Pukki stole his soul. Keane used that exact phrase yesterday. I'm stealing it because it's spot on. And Maguire's doing his typical pointing, he's trying to be an airline trafficker. That's not your job. I also think, to be fair, I thought Lindelof was particularly poor in the second goal, covering Tellez. It didn't really do enough. I think if you really have to blame, I'd blame the whole defence and Pogba. What about you for yourself? If you saw, obviously you were probably watching your own game, but for anything you did see.
No, I only seen the Ronaldo free kick. To be honest, that was all I seen. I was watching the Liverpool game, so I didn't see it. But
Yeah,
if I could, I could have guessed who would be nearly fought for the goals. Like the same people every week. So
yeah,
uh, it's obviously they're not comfortable enough there. And like to be fair, Pookie is a handful. And
hmm
he is a good forward. But still, if you're at a big club like that, you need to be defensively better as a unit. But Pogba is not going to do that for you anyway. Go back and put his head in where it hurts or his leg in where it hurts. He's not that kind of midfielder. That's why
yeah,
you need someone like as you said earlier on, Rodri and that. He be there. You'd leave them do their business up the other, and that's why he plays so well with France. You've
hmm
Kante there, so cover the ground for everyone.
yeah,
So it's you can't have all the same players in there. Like him and Fernandez are basically the same player, really. But they have different qualities. He carries the ball, and he can open his legs going the other way, like when he wants to. So look, it is hard to be United fan at the minute. But look,
yeah,
as I said earlier on, the things will come back around in circles again. And you will have your time again. It's just the right recruitment and the right people in there, involved. That's all you need.
yeah,
It's
definitely.
obviously
And
been you went through a bad spell for a while, but you just didn't have the right people in there. Not signing the right players and not bringing in players just who they are, and not for the squad. Rooney's. I don't know. Did you see it? When he was on Monday Night Football, I thought he was brilliant. He was looking at it
mhm,
from a manager's point of view, not
yeah,
as an ex-United player like all the other Neville and all them looking at it. He looked at it like as a manager. Say if he was manager of Man United, I thought it was brilliant. Now, I really did. I thought
yeah.
he
What
was
did you think of his
he talks
what
very
did you
well.
think about his comments overall? Obviously, you're saying he's brilliant, but I like the way he was actually analysing the clip, like in
Yeah,
that way. I liked it as well.
and I like the way he was just brutally honest about it as well. It would have been easy for him to come out and say, no, like the other pundits, like Ronaldo is. He thought he said that he wouldn't have Ronaldo there because
hmm
it's the development for other players and it's not the right fit for the squad going forward. You can't deny what Ronaldo has done, and it's great for United to have him back. He's such a big name, and he was United at what he done for you at the start and that. But that's not. It's new times now. You need to go he's looking at from a manager's point of view and what he would want as a manager. He just thinks Ronaldo is taken up for say the younger lads like Alanga or someone like him to come through and express themselves. Because
hmm
realistically, if you didn't have Ronaldo there, it's not you're not if you don't get top four and you have Ronaldo there, you're gonna just blame probably Ronaldo. If he's not there, then you can say, look, we're rebuilding, So it's kind of I don't know. It's a hard one to call, really. But I thought he was brilliant the way he answered it and
Yeah,
was talking just brutally honest as what United need. And I thought it was interesting that he picked Pochettino as well as that's who he would pick as coming
yeah. That's probably the only thing of the night I completely disagreed with him on.
in.
I thought that was absolute rubbish. I don't like. If there's one manager I don't want anywhere near United, it's Maurizio Pochettino. No, thank you. I don't think he's United quality for a manager. I don't think he's the right choice. I don't think he would bring confidence to the team. I don't think he would be adaptable in any way, shape, or form. And I actually think he's quite weak as a manager. I don't think he speaks well, but I don't think he speaks enough to motivate his players to get them to the next level, and it's not really worked. And obviously, he's at.
Yeah,
I don't judge him off PSG though, because PSG is just a sinking ship for
no,
any manager. That's. But in
too
terms of
many big names there for him to manage.
yeah,
You can't. It's impossible to go in there and have your say. Them players do what they want. It's Neymar
mhm,
just flies in and out whenever he wants. It's impossible for a manager like that to go in and manage a team like that. But uh,
yeah,
it's it is a hard one because you can easily look at what Van Gaal said. He wouldn't Ten Hag. He said he wouldn't have him. He advised him not to go anywhere near it as well. So I don't know. It's going to be tough for whoever goes in there anyway. But they need to have.
mhm,
Obviously, he said to United that he obviously wants to have his own stamp on it, and like they have to leave someone go in and do that. Like, you know, you can't just
Agreed.
bring him in and get criticized again that, oh, he's not this or that, but he didn't get what he wanted. You know, he didn't get the players he wanted in. He
Hmm.
didn't. You know, they didn't give him what he wanted for his squad to be successful. You know.
I think they are looking to do, like, in terms of like the new manager, like in terms of like Ten Hag, like, obviously I did watch the Dutch Cup final today. Like they did, like VAR did. Obviously, we spoke about it before we came on earlier. I spoke about the game briefly, and obviously, like they were struck down by VAR, but it was a very good performance by Ajax. It was controlled. It was the systemic way, like how he plays. They were just caught off guard, like because the defense went to sleep. But in terms of like that, like if you want to play with a manager, obviously yourself being professional footballer, if you want to play under a manager who is a system manager rather than just unorthodox and it's like flying down wingers, like his team is all about controlled football. You need the players to fit, and I think United are. He's in a way like for his interview and like getting his contract and getting like all his staff in it that fits him to a T. He is looking for certain assurances where it has to be these set of players. It cannot be like someone random. It has to fit me altogether. And I think that's something I'm glad at least United are at least looking at, and it's something they need to rectify going forward. Because if they don't give him what he wants, he's already at a disadvantage. Like, regardless of how good a manager is, like if this was like Klopp at Liverpool, like, he will get what he wants. If it's like obviously you know that yourself, and obviously Guardiola at City, you get the players what fits them, let them embed into the squad, and they will come good. And it's reflected by the dominance over the past 5-6 years. Obviously for City it's a bit longer, but it's reflecting on them that they have the players that fit them. It's taking them forward, and it's hard to get into their squads. And I think that's something United need to do. They need a very strong first team where the bench is just as strong to force your way in. If United can do that under Ten Hag, then they'll thrive. If not, then he's going to be held back, which I'm hoping is not the case, but time will certainly tell. Guys, if you've got any questions for Jack, feel free to drop them in. I'm just going to have a look at a few comments because there's some really good comments in here. Keane's jumped in with a 5-3-2. I get that. I really just hope it doesn't happen. Andrew's also put his score prediction in, like, very honest. He's went in Liverpool 3-0 against United. I don't blame you. Based on recent form, even though United, like, obviously they lost last week very poorly to Everton, then go and beat Norwich by a single goal, I don't blame you, like, in that sense. And obviously we've been very poor this season. Maisie, even if we get a point versus Liverpool, I'd be happy. Never thought as a United fan I'd be happy to say that. You're not the only one. Honestly, if we got a point, I would honestly be happy. But I honestly don't think we will. When I give my score prediction, it's going to be as honest as I possibly can. Depends on the Liverpool that turns up. If it gets an early lead, Liverpool will beat us 6-0. Yeah, see what I mean? Like, it's literally just that. And of course, Greg's jumping in obviously on the back of the Rooney comments is even better. Like, it's just a bit of fun between them. And brought in for commercial reasons more than anything. He's not a long-term solution and will be replaced possibly already this summer. Yeah, that's a fair amount of players already. But we are going to get predicted lineups, score predictions, like a little bit of fun from you, Jack. Before we wrap up, because I've had an absolute pleasure in talking to you this evening. But based on the fact that you ended City's chances of a treble, because they're not going to the FA Cup final. It's Liverpool. You've got the possibility of rotating your squad. What do you think is going to be the lineup on Tuesday, and what's your score prediction?
Yeah, I think Alisson will stay in goal. I think Matip will probably come into the back four. I'd say it'll stay the same. Matip will come in. I think he probably will play Henderson, Thiago, and Fabinho. I think Firmino will come in. Salah will probably stay there. Maybe Jota will probably come in as well. I think Mane and Diaz might miss out because Diaz is after playing 60 against Benfica. Then he played nearly 80, I think, or whatever it was yesterday. Tuesday is a quick turnaround. Mane after playing a lot as well over the last few weeks, and you have them lads to come in then and change. I just think he's freshen it up again. Like, I think that's the way he'll play. Firmino, Salah, Jota, Henderson, Thiago, Fabinho, and then the back four part Matip will probably come back in, I'd say. I think that's the way he'll go anyway. He might play Simicast or someone like that, I don't know. There's not really much of a he's not a huge drop to what they couldn't replace really Trent, because there is that gap like where Robertson is quality, but Simicast is very good left full as well. Like he hasn't done a foot wrong since he came into Liverpool, so he might do that. I don't know. He probably stick to the same, really just change method, I'd say, But yeah, no, I think that's the way he line up, and then the front three, like anyone really can play up there. They're all quality. You could say you're not going to be unhappy with any of them playing. Like they've all been worthy of playing. They've any of them that have played, they've scored goals. Like Firmino scored 2 the other day again. He seems to be finding a bit of form. So I think he probably will rotate it, I'd say.
And it's an unfortunate thing for us. You've got a very strong squad, whether it's on the bench or off the bench, that you've got the strength and depth that can cause United problems. And if you had to just give a score prediction now, what do you think is going to happen on Tuesday?
I think it'll be 3 or 4-1. I think United will score, to be honest. Yeah, I think it'll be 3 or 4-1. I think it could get messy, as I said, if we score early, but I think I think it could be 3 or 4-1.
I think if we score early, we're in trouble.
Yeah,
I agree with you. If we get caught very early, we are in trouble. And judging by our recent games, it's probably going to happen. For me, I am not going my back five as much as some United fans would want it to. I don't see much change, so I'm going De Gea on goal. I'm going Wan-Bissaka right back. I think even though he's not been particularly great this year, at least he can give us some defensive assurance, something that Dalot certainly can't. Centre backs, I would honestly go Lindelof and Bailly. I don't trust Maguire in this sort of game. I think his pace like in even the half spaces, or even when he's carrying the ball, if he gets dispossessed, he ain't catching anybody, and he'll have to rely on his partner to do it. So for me, Lindelof and Bailly. Unfortunately, even though he got the corner for the second goal, the weekend against Norwich, Tellez is very poor defensively, but because Luke Shaw's out and we're not going to play anyone else at that position, he'll play left back. Midfield, mental. I don't see him really doing anything else, but I play Matic in that role. I think you need some calming presence in midfield. I play Matic, and then in front of him, there's no Fred to get stuck in to do the hard work, or even McTominay. So I'd probably play Lingard, because at least from a pressing perspective, at least he can push on against Liverpool midfield. If Henderson plays, I think he would realistically cause him problems. I would play Bruno beside Jesse Lingard, and then front three I would play. Yeah, I would just have to stick with it. Sancho on the right, Elanga on the left, and then play Ronaldo up front. Save face, I would normally say United win a game. This one, I don't see us win. I don't see us winning this one at all, to be honest. Score prediction, I very rarely predict a defeat, but in this case, I have virtually no choice, because I don't see us getting anything a result. If we do, I'll be very happy, but I don't think we're getting a result. But I'm going 2-1 Liverpool. I don't think it'll be high scoring. I think it'll actually be quite close, in this one. But I just don't think momentum right now is in our favour. And also, like, Liverpool's form, it doesn't matter wherever, they always seem to pop up with a goal, whether it be right at the start or right at the end. Whereas ourselves, we aren't particularly good at defending. And obviously, as Andrew says, which I think is another factor for us where we'll get caught, we are so thin for numbers at the minute in terms of squad, and there's no real depth. But I think we'll probably defend out of our skin. I think we'll defend out of our skin, and I think on that grounds we will just get beat. I don't think it's going to be an absolute hammering. And Keane's gone with his prediction. He's gone Henderson in goal. Interesting. He's actually gone back 5. So he's gone Henderson in goal, Wan-Bissaka and Telles as wing backs, by Maguire, Lindelof as the 3 centre backs. He's got Matic, Lingard as the 2, Fernandes in the number 10 role, Elanga and Ronaldo up front. Very interesting. Maisie's comment, wrong decision loaning Donny and Martial out. I agree. Plays very well. Martial in particular has worked very well with Rashford. I do agree with that one. If there's any other lineups, I will see. Can't really see any. I don't think there is any. Nope. Let's have a look. Looks like it's. Oh yeah, there is. Sorry, there's one more. It looks like Maisie's also done the back 5. She's gone Dalot and Telles as the wing backs. Maguire, Lindelof, Varane with De Gea in goal. Matic, Pogba, Elanga, Bruno, Sancho, Ronaldo. Very good there, guys. If you want to get your score predictions in, I'll call them out. If you've got any last questions for Jack as well before we wrap up, we drop them in. But other than that, it's been, for me, 1 hour, 16 minutes of fun. I've enjoyed this, and I'm surprised Jack hasn't roasted us yet.
I don't know. I'll be
That's a fair comment.
Look, you take the good with the bad, you know.
Maisie,
you're low enough, so I'm not going to really pipe it down anymore, you know.
Yeah, I've had obviously Tuesday's going to be rough, but I've had a good day today. Just to wind up Keane, of course. But Maisie being a United fan and from Manchester, she's actually gone Liverpool 6, Man United 0. She thinks Liverpool are going to tear us apart.
I didn't realise you were actually you were missing that many players.
We're so down. We're so down on numbers, and Hell's gone with David De Gea, Telles, Lindelof, Maguire, Wan-Bissaka. Fred's not available. Pogba, Bruno, Rashford, Sancho, Ronaldo. Fred and McTominay are actually missing again. They're not playing on Tuesday. So yeah, our midfield is as stretched as a stretched limousine. Screwed. But for me, it's been fun.
It could get messy then if you've no if you're wide open against a team where you can't really be wide open, you know. It's especially at Anfield then as well, you know.
Yeah,
it could get a bit messy.
Definitely. Keane's gone with what I hope is going to happen. That's a 1-1 draw. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think we'll get beat, but I'm going by a 1 goal because I don't want to see us get slaughtered. But for me, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on, Jack. Thank you so much. I hope we can get you on again at some other time, but just for where we can find you, obviously yourself being a professional footballer, like if anyone wants to watch like your games or interact with you, like social media, like ask questions or anything relevant, where can we find you?
Yeah, Twitter or Instagram is just JackDoc11, and all the stuff beyond there, I retweet stuff regularly. Or if you want to keep track on the league, it's just SSE Electricity League. You know, they have good stuff on that. They show a lot of highlights or clips of goals and stuff like that. So yeah, any of them, if anyone ever have anything or they want a little advice for their niece, nephew, cousin, whatever, it'd be helpful to answer any questions or talk to someone, the individual themselves or whatever they want to know. I'd be more than happy to give them on advice, or if they have any questions they want to ask or whatever. Like, I'd be more than happy to help out.
Yeah, we appreciate that. Thank you so much. And to answer Hell's question, what's up with Fred? It's still his groin. So yeah, it's pretty much that. A couple last comments before we go. Maisie's saying, Reece, you smashed it, and brilliant guest, Jack. Well done. Thank you very much. And Hell's saying, we need Matic to be up for it then. Yeah, true. Give him something like Red Bull because he's going to need speed, like any bit of speed. But for me, it's been an absolute pleasure. Guys, thank you so much. This has been a Sunday night preview edition of Devils Advocate for Liverpool versus Manchester United on Tuesday night. Please like, share and subscribe to the weekly Armchair Sports Talk. Jack, obviously, Jack.11 on social media where you can find him. Plays for Wexford as well if you watch Irish football. Plays a forward. His most recent retweet is obviously, I've seen it today, is his left foot finish. It's top notch. But for us, of course, we're going to get out of here. I'm going to look at old United games just to get in the mood of, hopefully we don't get beat, because that's the right thing to do. Probably watch, I don't know, say the 3-2 win in the cup last season. That'll probably do the trick. But hey ho, what can I say? It's always fun chatting football with a football fan, especially a pro footballer. Have a good end to your weekend, guys, and see you later.
Thanks, guys.